This Old Guy DIY video has to do with a couple of tips regarding leveling the deck on a 300 series John Deere lawnmower. So this thing is about 20 years old. A hot chick that I know asked me to level the deck because after she cut it didn't look perfect. I went online, found a couple of good videos about actually doing this job. Basically the process consists of stepping down on this pedal, which then allows you to come here to the middle, and you set the little arrow to 2.5 inches when you're going to level the deck. And then these 300 series mowers have this gauge that's stuck right in the middle of the thing. And then the process for leveling the deck is just taking this gauge, and there's a little raised spot here. You just put the gauge right beneath it, and when it just barely drags, you're good. And the adjustment is done right here. And to get to that point, I let the tension go on the belts. So I open this thing up, and then I was able to reach in here. A 17mm ratcheting box end wrench is your best friend for that job. And on the other side, that's where the tips come in. So on this side, the point is right here, that little raised spot. But when you look in here, the way it's designed, you really can't see the nut. So what I found is a good workaround is if I took a piece of 2x4 and I just lifted this up and I put the caster wheel right there on the 2x4, so it took the tension off of this fitting. Then I was able to pull this out, which disengaged it from that arm. And then I just grabbed the arm, raised it up a little bit. I put my 17mm ratcheting box end on there, and I was able to make the adjustment. But then when it came time to reinstall it, that was kind of a pain in the rear. So I took this chunk of 2x4. So as a man working alone, trying to align those little holes so I could put the pin back in, I took the 2x4 and used that front tire as a pry point. I was able to pull back on the 2x4, which causes the whole deck to come to the rear of the mower. And then with it elevated with this little wood block, it was fairly easy to just reach in there and manipulate that joint. So I was able to put this retaining pin back through that arm where it belongs. And from a design standpoint, when you look at the front of this mower, you might think, oh, I have 4 points of adjustment. I have one bolt here, I've got a bolt there, I have the 2 points on the rear. But in fact, the leveling of the deck is controlled by 3 points. It's basically a triangle. The two tools you need for this job are the 17mm back there in the back of the deck, and then up here in the front, it takes an 18mm. So here in front, you're setting a level with that little height gauge. And basically what I did is got it to the level that I needed. I tightened up one bolt, then I went over, tightened up the other bolt, so I could see as I looked at this big U-bolt that the bolt itself was engaged with the steel on the front of the deck. And then everything worked well. But the most valuable part of this video, in my opinion, is using that piece of 2x4 to pry against the front wheel to give you the angle you need to engage that right rear pin. I've attached a link to a video where a guy does a really nice job showing the process of leveling a deck like this. And I used his video before I came out here and did my thing and learned the value of that 2x4 and some leverage. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.